It's Monday, the 23rd of March, and all four South African teams won all four of their games at home. Let's start the show. Good evening and welcome back to Bit of an Animal. The Six Nations is behind us, although we're all going to talk about it. But now we get stuck into the fun part of the season where we roll towards the end and right into Test Rugby. Uh, the full pod squad is with me. It's John from up north. It's Bryce from down here in Cape Town, and Temikosi from Naturena or New Zealand, whichever, depending on which week it is, that type of thing. All right,
I think
guys.
it's mostly New Zealand.
Yeah. I'm so disappointed with that bit of an animal, not bit of an animal, Global Gain Lines. By the way, you're listening and watching to bit of an animal podcast on the Global Gain Lines podcast network. I'm so disappointed that producer Lee and them couldn't get the Super Rugby podcast off the ground, but for numerous reasons, unfortunately, I wasn't that involved there. Besides recruiting Tim Mikosi to that cause. Shout out to Sibusiso, who was going to join us this evening. We were looking forward to having him on, but unfortunately, because Arsenal got defeated 2-0 in the League Cup, he
Well,
suddenly was unavailable. It's so sad. But we move swiftly on, gentlemen. We've got a lot of topics this week, but we've got a catch-up fixture from last week when we were not on. The only single URC game that was on last week related to South Africa. There were two others. It was the Bulls hosting the Stormers on Saturday in the afternoon. 33,300 people packed into Loftus in nice weather. And Bryce, you were able to stop your three-game losing streak in Loftus. Your thoughts on defeating the Bulls in Pretoria?
oh, is this like an annual tradition here? We just beat the Bulls at Loftus. Um, it was better. It was an improved performance from the Lions game, I would say. It was nice to see them playing with a bit more structure, using their forward pack a bit more. Um, I'm still not convinced about the attack, and I think we'll cover that later on in the pod. It doesn't it's still not firing as well. They're over reliant on their molds and the kicking game. But yeah, that from still I think it was a much needed improvement from last week. From the Bulls side, I think that was probably one of the worst Bulls performances I've ever seen. I think they handed that game to the Stormers on a silver platter, and yeah, I mean, I think Jean will probably had a couple of words to say watching that. But otherwise, from the Stormers, I was quite pleased with that performance. It was nice, composed from Sacha and Willem. So it was really nice to see. Yeah, I don't know what John has to say about that Bulls performance.
Yeah, I think it was head and shoulders difference in kicking between the two teams. And it was obviously the perfect game for Galant to actually get his positioning right in the backfield. And to actually you know be be committed on defense. But I think the big thing was just, it's hard to play the game if you don't get the ball. And you can't get the ball if you are continuously defending, and you can't get the ball if you are continuously the team restarting the game. So yeah, it just felt like I don't know, it felt like the Bulls were like they didn't pitch almost. Um in a sense. If Yeah, I don't know really how else to put it. It just felt like they didn't pitch, like they weren't there in the sense that they needed to be. Um, so yeah, it was difficult to watch. But it was nice seeing the Stormers,
Mm.
as you said, Bryce, almost returning to form. Sasha was gaining a bit of form again, and being his attacking self. I think they forced it a lot less, where the Bulls were trying to force it all the time. And it's a recurring theme at times for South African teams where, whether we're on the front foot or the back foot, we just try too hard and we try to play too fast. Whereas if you just go half a gear back on the tempo, um, you're actually at the right tempo to win. There's such a thing as trying to play too fast. And I mean, this weekend it was knock-ons galore. Yes, we won, but every single game I watched was like a knock-on fest. And it's just from trying to play too fast. And you don't need to play as fast as possible. You just need to play fast enough. So yeah, but
Mm.
the standout for me was the difference in kicking game,
Mm.
especially out of hand. The Stormers were head and shoulders above the Bulls. Their tactical kicks were much better. Um, and yeah, for someone who I still have high hopes for at fullback, David Creel, I think he learned some expensive lessons, being on the receiving end of Sasha's tactical kicks.
That was that did stand out to me because I thought when Sacha and Willemse played almost like a test match, it looked amazing. It's like, oh, the Bulls can't even get out of their 22. And then obviously this week, I'll get to that later. But
Yeah,
I don't know what
but
Tobo does there.
for the Stormers to be able to get the full five points for the log and deny the Bulls any points at Loftus is quite amazing. Although there's an argument to say that within the SA conference, it would actually have been useful for teams to get the 5 bonus points, but allow the other SA team to at least get 2 points, one for within seven and one for 4 tries, because that will actually assist all the SA teams. But of course, we're not match fixing here. This isn't the Hansi Cronje podcast. This is a bit of an animal.
Well,
Um, One thing before we move on from that game, because we have to move on to this week's games, is shout out to Achiva Daimani, who returned to the Stormers, formerly of Theminkosi's parish at the Lions. Very mobile, loose forward, can play eight, can play sort of a more mobile blindside flank, having returned, having played in France for Racing. Also scoring the late try there to take the game sort of completely away from the Bulls. Achiva Daimani, the first black Jewish player to play for Stormers and an SA team. There have been other Jewish players playing, like Trimiti Katakilis, but yeah, shout out to Achiva Daimani. So now we move on to a bit better topic for Jean, as this week, Friday, the Bulls put that Stormers game behind them, and they took their frustrations out on Cardiff in a 40-7 victory, where Cardiff scored first, and the Bulls just put it into fifth gear. Although Cardiff did score from a intercept try, so it's not like Cardiff made that try themselves. Interestingly enough, both teams had tries disallowed, so it was 0-0 for quite some time in the game in the first half. Jean, you must be pleased to bounce back in this manner.
Yeah, I'm very happy. We put in. I think the first half was certainly the half to watch. Um, but like I said previously, bit of a concern is the fact that second half we sort of slowed down. Cardiff managed to keep us contained. We didn't seem to score enough points in the second half. Um, and also just the fact that we were trying to play too fast. And credit to Cardiff's defense, their defense really disrupted our attack. They were playing the line between onside and offside very finely, and that rush defense, again, it just shows if you get to phase 4, phase 5, it becomes really difficult to try and gain momentum when you're being hit 5 meters before the gain line. So yeah, I think there's some we're still in progress. I'm very happy with the win, very happy with the bonus point. But I think we need to get a little bit smoother and a little bit slicker on attack, especially looking at if we stay in the top 8, some of the teams we're going to be facing, their defenses are just as aggressive. So being able to shift the ball fast or get your attacking kicks in, um, is definitely going to be something that you need to get sorted out before we get to that the knockout stages.
Then, because we haven't come to you yet, as it relates to results, were you able to catch your Gauteng brethren putting the hurt on Cardiff?
Yeah, I actually did. For like I don't know how to put it, but it just kind of seemed like everything that the Bulls were kind of trying to do worked out. And I think a good example of that is when Nizam Khan tried to, crossfield kick, a kick to low. That's I feel like that was kind of like what was going right. You know, when the ball, I think this also applies kind of like to the Stormers game when the ball was kind of like bouncing right for them in the right time. So yeah, you can I don't know. It felt like I'm watching a Lions game. No offense. Like I could directly see that Ackerman is doing his job, is making making a lion out of this bull.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Bryce, did you catch this game at all?
I did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like Sean said, the Bulls are kind of playing too fast. I think, yeah, they're playing way too fast. And I think when they go into that pick and go forward, then they look unstoppable. But it's almost like Ackerman's trying to force them to play like 2017, 2016 Lions, which I don't mind. I mean, this is what is halfway through his first season here, so I guess it's growing pains. But otherwise, like I think we when they get that balance out, I think they will start to be a lot more ruthless. But now I don't know if they're good enough to beat the top six like that. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted.
Yeah, that backline is fantastic though. We got Curtly Arnitzer on the one wing, we got Chesney Jost on the other wing. Stedman Khan's unheralded player, very high quality, starting not at outside center but inside center. Obviously, high quality defensive monster Kenan Moody at 13, and then very good David Krill at fullback, somebody who could also maybe put his hand up for Springbok selection at some point. Ember Sapir, a guy who's got Springbok experience, maybe not under Rassie, although I forgot that he did actually get a few caps under Rassie initially when Rassie took over from Alistair Coetzee. And then obviously we can't forget to mention the return of Cameron Hanekom. That's a massive boost for not only the Bulls, but the Springbok setup in general. This guy is so good, so effective, so good at carrying the ball, extremely fast for a guy his size, able to make turnovers and jackal really well. He just can't seem to stay fit for extended periods of time. So we wish him the best. We move right on to staying with Bryce. Bryce on a Sunday fixture.
Mm.
Very unusual, Cape Town, but still a lot of people. In fact, I'll have a look exactly while he's talking exactly what attendance there was on the Sunday, because I did look yesterday, but the stats weren't up yet. And
15 and
you
a half.
defeated,
Yeah,
what was it?
15 and a half
15.
thousand.
15 and a half. 15,500 is not bad, because at the start of the
Mm.
season, the Stormers started with two games on Friday nights,
Mm.
and they got 13,000 respectively. So in a large stadium, and a lot of my friends actually attended this game, and from their personal videos, the atmosphere looked fantastic. Yeah, well done to the Stormers again for sort of creating a sort of a inviting atmosphere for spectators.
Mm.
Bryce, not the perfect performance, but you got the 5 points.
Yeah, I think that sums it up, doesn't it? No, but for real, I think the first 15 minutes I was like, oh, Imad Khan and Sacha, we're gonna have a masterclass here today. They were just playing off each other, using the forward pack, running through gaps. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. But then after that 20 minutes, then the Dobson Stormers kicks in, then they start to, like Dobson says, we must entertain the crowd or what. And then it turns out to be the worst rugby we've ever seen. So I don't know why they do this. I don't know why Stormers feel they need to do the chicken wing offloads and all the fancy stuff, and then at the half ends like what, 14-7. Sometimes you just wish they can just play the phases and then put someone through the gaps, because Yeah, it's a bit concerning that that kind of mentality is seeping into the Stormers team. It's not good to watch, and I don't think it gives confidence to the coaches or the players later on. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that's the same thing. I wasn't very happy with that. There was too much showboating. And I think there was one moment, I don't know if you caught this. Sacha got the ball and then he dummied once, dummied again, and then he got tackled into touch. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah. Mm.
I
It's
was like, there's no ways, man. As a flower off. Yeah, but that's Dobson Stormers for you, isn't it?
Demikosi, your thoughts on the Stormers' performance on the Sunday? Oh, I think you're muted.
I
But
yeah, I have to agree with Bryce.
millennial pause, millennial pause.
Yeah.
No, I think I have to kind of agree with Bryce. Like it was it was a win. I think they'll be happy that there was a win, and the fact that they actually stopped Dragons from getting a losing bonus point, and the fact that we actually have to say that they actually stopped Dragons instead of just
Mm,
completely blowing them out in Cape Town where they should be better.
mm,
I don't
Mm.
know. Like what Bryce is. I'm just gonna echo what Bryce is saying. I know that we have there is supposed to be with the Stormers specifically, there's supposed to be this flair, this Cape Town flair. And I think maybe echoing what John said about the Bulls, maybe they're trying to like he said the Bulls are playing a little bit too fast. Maybe they're kind of over relying on let me get a chicken wing and hopefully someone is there to actually catch it. And most of the time no one is there. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a win. I think they'll be
Mm.
happy with the win, but it's it
But
doesn't look like a team that is second place in the URC
mm.
and could possibly win it. If they're playing like that, I doubt.
Yeah,
the team,
the criticism of the Stormers is that yes, they're getting results, but the cohesion in terms of attack doesn't be. It's like stuff is coming off because they're trying things like as if we were just playing a crazy touch sevens game here. But is that a long-term strategy? Go ahead, John.
yeah. So the big thing for me that stands out between the Stormers, from the Stormers and the Bulls, and to an extent the Sharks as well. Maybe not so much the Lions. I don't know how they're managing it. Um, if you look at the way they're doing the offloads in contact versus the other teams, and especially the northern teams, the support runners from the Bulls and the Stormers always seem to overshoot. Like they hit the pace before the person actually hits the pace, and they're not reading the space beyond the player. Like they're expecting the player to almost make a forward pass, and they're gonna get the ball beyond the tackle. So, and I think that's where skill set really becomes important, because if you're going into a tackle, and Lukanyu used to do this brilliantly, he would go into a tackle and he would actively, you would see almost half a second before the tackle, he'd be just catching a glance, where's my support? And then making a very easy, very sympathetic pass to that player, because he knows that player is waiting there, and the moment they get the ball, they can hit the gas. And it's almost like right now, the support players are trying to hit the gas before they've got the ball. And you'll see this a lot of times, especially with the Bulls, I noticed it. The support players just tend to shoot past the ruck, and then they're trying to run back, and this guy's isolated, and then there's a turnover happening. So I think maybe just slowing down on the support runners would already have a massive impact, because there were turnovers galore in both the Stormers game and the Bulls game. It felt like, one team would make 50 meters, then there's a turnover, kick it out, play three phases, turnover, then they kick it. It was like we're going to do turnovers to stop each other. And that's just purely because the attacking players got so easily isolated the whole time. Um,
Mm.
so I think that if I was reviewing those matches, something I would focus on is just keeping pace as a good support player, just keeping that pace. And I mean, these guys, a lot of these guys can do it at the box. So why aren't they doing it here? Is it a systemic failure? Is it a team cohesion failure? Um, you know, it, How do we fix this? Because I think once you get that sorted, it's really going to allow you to push that attack in the 22 to the next level. And we do see it come off. We know that the Bulls and the Stormers have won games this year purely playing pop passes from the ground continuously and getting that forward momentum where it's just hard carry after hard carry after hard carry. And then you see the team just collapsing inwards, allowing for easy tries. So I don't know, maybe too much focus on pace of play, or maybe a skill set problem. But I think that it's definitely something that's holding us back from maximizing our attacking potential.
Yeah, we're gonna clip this section of the podcast and send it to the Stormers backline coach, Davi Snyman. I saw a lot of serious critique of Mr. Snyman on Reddit more recently. Bryce, wasn't that you, by the way?
It could be.
I think it was you who wrote that. We're not gonna. If you wanna, yeah, you can find that on Reddit somewhere. I'm not gonna tell you what Bryce's username is. So Temikosi, you basically summarized earlier, like, Bryce, why didn't you put 40 plus points on this foreign team? So we'll move on to you now. Temikosi, your Lions team love playing Edinburgh, in Johannesburg, and because every time you do, you put them to the sword. I mean, shout out to Edinburgh for their Instagram, by the way. They might have lost convincingly this week, but they did put out a very cool video where they had Springbok and soon to be Lions loosehead prop Boan Venter go around to his teammates during Edinburgh's training at the school in Johannesburg in preparation for this game at the Lions, and then asking Boan Venter going around and saying certain phrases in Afrikaans and asking the Scottish players if the to answer back in Afrikaans. And some of them actually got some aspects right, and some of them got it wrong. So Edinburgh, you might have lost this week, but at least you made some good content. And if anybody knows about good content, it's us. So yeah, Temikosi, your thoughts on the Saturday, getting your Saturday off to a fantastic start?
It felt like deja vu. It really felt like, I think, was it last year where they actually came down here and the score was exactly this. Okay, I think Edinburgh didn't score as much, but yeah, no, it felt like a perfect match. I think for every Lions fans, this is probably, I would say, the younger generation. This is exactly what they fell in love with, like constantly attacking, offloading rugby. That seems like someone is always there to catch the ball. Like it was fantastic. I don't even know where to critique. I think maybe a little bit when the second half started, I felt like maybe if you have an advantage over a team, maybe step down on them on the foot a little bit. Don't let it go. Let them come back, because with serious teams, they're gonna actually eventually come back and actually outscore you. But for this weekend, it wasn't a problem. Like everyone was playing well. Like shout out to, I think I've already mentioned Mahasha. Like ever since he came on that, like he's I want to say the team looks more active, looks more willing to just be there and taking the support line, making the run. So yeah, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, Sipa Mahashe, Baby Bok didn't go directly into the a lot of these guys who play well for the Baby Box, they get sort of itchy feet and like, oh, why am I not playing senior rugby immediately? But 21 years old right now. Um, uh, Blank. I'm trying to look for his height. 1.74. So that's 6'2" and 93 kilograms. That's what it states here. But we can't really use the internet that much for weight, because weight sort of fluctuates and stuff like that. Some of that detail is not as accurate as you think. But like to have a loose forward trio, I'm looking at your team and it's unheralded. I mean, Rowan Venter's got a few Springbok caps. He can play blindside and lock. He's a lot of teams are looking at him. Darren Landsberg, highly sought after, somewhat unheralded. But to have Sipa Mahashe and Glakane on the flanks, Frankie Horn, another unheralded player. We've got Krappies, More van der Berg. It's a solid team. Chris William
Even
Smith
Oosthuizen,
with say
I
again?
know he's a lot, but even Oosthuizen, I know he's a lot, but sometimes he does move around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Oosthuizen, formerly of the Sharks as well, and then to have the impact of Renzo du Plessis. You don't even have JC Pretorius in the team right now because I think he's got an injury. Hashim Peed on the bench. Richard Kriel, David Kriel's brother, coming off the bench, who can also play wing and fullback. Eddie Davids, by the way, Eddie Davids. A lot of the Griquas players have. That went on to win the Currie Cup have been loaned to different teams. But George Whitehead was at the Sharks for a bit. Dylan Maats recently returned to Griquas from the Stormers because the Stormers got all their injured wings back. But the Lions actually went to Griquas and said, "Can we just keep Eddie Davids?" So I mean, that's shout out to him. We like to see like upward momentum for players. And then got Franco Mare, formerly of the Sharks as well. I met him once. I think I can't remember what year it was. I think it might have been 2017 at the Shark Supporters Club at Newlands in Cape Town. Before Stormers / Western Province moved to Cape Town Stadium. Very nice guy, very polite, very welcoming to all the fans and stuff like that. So yeah, and the thing is that Edinburgh didn't actually have a bad team. They just play poorly. That's the problem. They're just so in such disarray. They've got former Sharks. Poor guy would have won the Super Rugby. Um, uh, the coach at the helm, and they've just given him a contract extension. Tuipolatu's brothers starting at inside center. It's not a bad team. Ewan Ashman's on the bench. Oh my God. I didn't look at this game. Dylan Richardson's there, Bourne Fenter, as we mentioned before. So yeah, it's not like the Storm, it's not like the Lions rolled over a poor team. They actually defeated a solid team. So shout out to the Lions. We're gonna have to move straight along to the Sharks. Somewhat surprising defeat of Munster. I thought the Sharks would win, but not by this much and this convincing a result. Two important factors to the team in Durban. Late replacements. Leroux Malan coming in for Ethan Hooker. Our condolences go to Ethan Hooker, who had to be pulled out of the team because his dad passed away. So I hope he's not in the team next week as well. I think he needs a moment, and then he can come back when we do our tour of Europe, 3-match tour of Europe. So and then of course Siya Kolisi was scheduled to actually start in this game, but then he also pulled up with an injury. We'll talk a bit more about Siya Kolisi because he was also seen earlier in the week on Kings Park pitch 2, earlier in the day supporting because he wasn't going to be warming up for this game. He took the moment to actually be on the sidelines for, I'm told, the whole of the women's Sharks game in the Women's Super League 1 fixture. So shout out to him. Siya Kolisi, an ardent supporter of women's rugby. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, Sharks got the job done. Somewhat disjointed at times, but then really packed on the points towards the end. And obviously, everybody's talking about Loan Chilimere, young 19-year-old fullback and fly off from Ceres, Boland, product in Craven Week, somewhat diminutive, already won a leg of in and out of the Sevens team in the Sevens Academy as well since he left high school and into the Sharks Academy. So he's split his time between the Sevens Academy and the Sharks Academy. Already won a leg of the 7 series. So that means that because the Blitz box won the whole thing, that means he's also a 7s champion this season. Well done to him. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing his performance again. Andre Esterhuizen, fantastic shift. We have to take a moment also to praise João Penke because he's a veteran backline player, can play wing and fullback, a guy whose prime was mostly with the Southern Kings when they were in Super Rugby. He's not necessarily at that peak anymore, but and at times he's gotten valid criticism. This season he's like Makazole Mampimpi is blown hot and cold, but in this game in particular he played really well. Having sort of a veteran presence on the wing there, because I thought maybe PK Sobatle would have played. Having sort of the veteran presence on the wing there with a very young 19-year-old inexperienced fullback, so that that might well have been a smart thing to do from the Sharks' perspective. No Van der Merwe because he's been rested. And then shout out to Marcus Pipi, his 100th game for the Sharks. Scoring 2 tries, one of them right at the end. Very difficult try to score. He got tackled and he still rolled over and scored. Marcus Pipi, a guy who grew up with a lot of hardship, having lost both his parents and all of his siblings at a young age, playing in obscurity for Border Bulldogs. I forget how old he is, but I think he's in his mid-30s. For somebody that old to be that in shape is insane. So he's blessed with far better genetics than me, Makazola. And the Sharks being smart and not smart. If it didn't work, we'd criticize them. Putting Oxenche and Vincent Hoch on the bench and starting young Pato Ganyane and Hanro Jacobs at prop. That was kind of interesting. Grant Williams had a good shift. Jordan Hendricks had a good shift. Jaden Jennings unfortunately injured. Um, Jean, your soon-to-be fullback Hakim Kunene is leaving the Sharks for the Bulls soon. He came on in the 68th minute show to John Smith. So glad to see Bradley Davids back after his injury. He's developed quite nicely. And then I have to congratulate Giannis Potgieter who came on in the 55th minute. Didn't know he was going to be a part of this game and played really well at Lucid. Sorry, not Lucid. At flank. I've spoken enough. Jean, your thoughts on the Sharks donutting Munster?
Yeah, if I I think if anybody wants to get some comeuppance, this was comeuppance for the Irish. I think I read some of the comments in the match thread, and it looks like the Irish fans left early to go to the pub. Um, yeah, no, look again, similar to what happened to the Bulls a week ago. It's just very hard to be in the fight if you don't even have the ball, right? And Munster seemed chronically unimaginative. Like the Sharks defense, I it wasn't great the whole game. There were plenty of opportunities and it's like they couldn't play into them. I don't know if maybe the players are tired, maybe the Six Nations break was a bit too much, a bit too long, and there's some rust to be shaken off. Um, but yeah, last year we had a an epic thriller of a match between Sharks and Munster with Winkgate and Cramps and who knows what else. This year, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they all had Durban curry the night before and they were still recovering. But as far as the Sharks go, there were some good moments there. But I think the thing that won them the game was chance and spirit. But there was a lot of cohesion that was just lacking. Um, a lot of cohesion lacking. Again, especially in attack, so easy for people to get isolated. Um, and yeah, I just think the Sharks look a much different team when Apelele Fassi is on 15. When he's on 15, they just look like a different team. Almost similar to what Bryce always says about Geland, except the opposite. When Geland comes on, the Stormers look like a different team. Um, but yeah, I think the Sharks really need a commander to step in. And I'm not talking about a captain figurehead who can get the guys fired up. I think there's a lot of spirit. What they need is a guy who can say, this is the tactical plan for the next 5 phases till we get a try. And I just don't know if they have that right now. For example, if you take a look at the Stormers have got Damian Willemse, Kobus Reinach, and Sasha, right? Those three guys, either one of them, if they saying, listen, we're going to punch, and then go wide, I promise you the whole team is going to go punch, wide. We got it. That's what we're doing, right? And it almost feels like the Sharks, there's no one there to go and say, this is what we're doing for the next 5 phases to open the gap, to create the opportunity. It's like, we're going to we're going to punch run and punch run and punch run again. And then when that doesn't work, we'll try a kick. And if that doesn't work, we'll punch run again because somewhere we have to get lucky. But I mean, if it was the Bulls putting a null on Munster, I'd take it. But I think the Bulls are going to face an uphill battle. Those little Irishmen from up north, I think will come with a little bit of fire this week to Loftus. So I guess thank you for that. Thanks for making them angry.
The Munster thing is so weird because, like the Stormers, they started on a house on fire, and like the Stormers, they have a really cool kit, Adidas kit. So, yeah, I didn't expect. And when I looked at this Munster team going into it, I thought, and I looked at the Sharks team, I thought, look, I think it's going to be a much closer game. And then, wow, if I just look over that Munster backline, and just another aspect is that the Sharks defeated the Stormers 2 weeks in a row, right? Then there was a bit of a break, and then they lost the Lions in a very anemic performance. Then there was a little bit of no, it was immediately next week they lost to the Bulls in Pretoria in an equally anemic performance. We don't know if these guys need iron supplements or something. And then they bounced back. They had a week off again, and then they bounced back. I guess the Hillemere factor is also a thing, but I get what you're saying in terms of hopefully Andre Esterhuizen will step up as it relates to what you outlined. But if I look from fullback through to the Munster team, we've got Mike Haley, quality player. Calvin Nash's got test experience. Tom Farrell had played in the Six Nations. Alex Nankerville won Super Rugby with the Chiefs under this coach, Clayton McMillan. Shane Daly's a good player. I believe he's also gotten a cap here and there. JJ Harahan, I watched win the under 20 player of the tournament when the Springboks won that when the Baby Boks won that tournament with Galant and Pollard all those years ago, and Colby and that type of thing. JJ Harrigan's yes, he's a journeyman now. He struggled to stay in one place, but still he's a quality player. Ethan Clegane, promising player. Gavin Coombs is a good player, very mobile. Sean Odogbo, Edwin Odogbo's brothers there. John Hodnett's unheralded player. They moved Tom Hearn from flank to lock. Jean Klein, I don't know if you guys heard of him, but he's quite good as well. Michael Alalatoa has come back to play in Ireland, having played for years for Leinster, but somehow he's pathetic now. I don't know what happened to him. Barron's a solid player, and Michael Milne's been in the Irish setup recently. So they've got Brian Gleeson of Peaky Blinders fame on the bench. Dan Kelly's on the bench, and he played Test rugby for England, but he's Scottish qualified now again. Wycherley's okay player. Edwin Odogbo's on the bench, and he didn't make an impact. Oh my God. And then Josh Wycherley, solid, maybe not the biggest loose head, but solid player. John Ryan's a good player. Lee Barrett's a good player. The game is not played on paper. Put some A4 on the ground. The game is not played on paper. So the whole factor. Okay, so some of those players did play a little in the Six Nations, and we'll give our thoughts on the Six Nations a bit later. And then a lot of these players were just like they just had the Six Nations off entirely, except for the middle part where they had that one fixture, which spoiled our holiday, by the way. Yeah, I think the Bulls will win next week. This coming weekend, but I expect a better performance from Munster. But this is not the Irish podcast. You can tune in to Bit of an Animal a bit later for that. We're now going to share the screen and look at the log, as well as we're also going to look at the upcoming fixtures for these teams, for our South African teams. All right, guys, we'll start with the Stormers, right? If I can minimize this here. Oh, there we go. Nice. Bryce, we'll start with you. Stormers is second on the log. Played 13 games. You've got 5 more games to play. 10 wins, 3 losses, 6 bonus points. Only 6. You play 13 games, and you've only got 6 bonus points. You should at least have 10. 46 points, play the same game amount of games as the Glasgow Warriors, but four points behind. What are you thinking going further into this season for the next 5 games? Let's look at the
Mm.
Stormers games.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, what's it? Edinburgh, Connacht, Glasgow at home, and then obviously I think we can have a shot at Ulster. Yeah, I think we could probably finish first actually, because I think Glasgow's got a couple of tough fixtures there.
Mm,
But it's like such a weird first place, because it's almost like undeserving.
mm,
But in a way, I think that first eight rounds kind of laid the foundation for the Stormers team. Unlike in like previous seasons where the first 4 rounds we've been giving points for charity. Yeah. But I think I think I think I'm confident we can finish first. Even though I'm not optimistic about the Stormers' chance of winning the title, I think we could finish first and have another final in Cape Town, eh? Hopefully against
yeah.
the Sharks or I don't know about the Sharks. Maybe the Bulls or maybe you never know, the Lions. But most likely the Bulls or Glasgow.
Wow, I can't believe Bryce toyed with all of us in that sentence. Wow,
No, you
Bryce.
got to be realistic, man.
Like Bulls. Oh, maybe no, not really. So
Yeah.
the Warriors. Let's look. What's also interesting is on the 25th of April, the Stormers are going to versus the Warriors. Hopefully we can actually physically go watch that game. And it's going
That'll
to
be
be.
nice.
It might well be a 1 versus 2. So next
Mm,
week the Warriors take on Benetton, and maybe they beat the Italian team. Then they've got the Bulls in the Champions Cup.
Champions Cup.
And then if they defeat the Bulls, that means they'll have another game, right? In Europe, most likely, maybe even South Africa. You never know. And then immediately after that Champions Cup last 8 game, they would have to fly to Johannesburg and verse the Lions. So if Tembinkosi can
Mm,
and Sibusiso can do Bryce a favor, do us all a favor, and defeat Glasgow, that'd be fantastic. And then we've got this massive game, Stormers versus Glasgow, and then Glasgow probably favorites to defeat Cardiff in the second last fixture of the season in Scotland. And then Glasgow have a very tough game against Ulster in the last
mm,
fixture because it's in Ireland, and Ulster have been quite good this season. So yeah, we're not
mm.
just looking at Glasgow. We're going to also look at the Stormers fixtures. So the Stormers fixtures, Edinburgh this week, probably more than likely
Yeah.
gonna defeat them. Then they've got Toulon in the Champions Cup. And if they go through that, they play the next game. But if we focus just on URC, it's
Mm,
Connacht. I did watch Connacht versus Stormers last season. It was a lot of fun. Great atmosphere, great
mm.
weather that day. So it's weird that Connacht are back. And then they host Glasgow, as we said before. And then how do you feel about these last 2 fixtures, Bryce? I think you're going to find it tough against Ulster, but maybe Cardiff.
I, I mean, with that forward pack, I think we might be able to do it. I think we might, because last season we can't. I think we did this. Was it? I think we
Mm.
played Ulster, and who else did we play last season?
Yeah, you did play Ulster away, and then you were. Remember that was the game where Ulster counterattacked, and then Robert
Yeah.
Balakoon was running at the bench, and then Sasha Feinberg and Ngombe Zulu
Mm,
lost his mind for a bit, and then bumped
yeah.
into, and then got the yellow card. So yeah, that's
Mm,
more sort of petulance from Sasha. But look, he's a very good player, very young. Let's have some
mm.
patience.
Yeah, I think you like to have revenge there. So, but if they can win that Ulster game, I think they will finish first. That's the Ulster game. That's probably going to be it, and the Glasgow, of course. Those
Yeah,
are the 2 games.
key fixtures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we look at the second highest team, South African team on the log. It's Thembinkosi and Sibusiso's Lions team. Who would have
Mm,
thought we'd be saying this at 13 games in?
mm,
Thembinkosi, your games going ahead this week, if we quickly bring them up. Uh, so you're taking on the Dragons this coming week. You are not in the Challenge or Champions Cup, so you get a 2-week break to rest and recoup and strategize for
mm,
doing us all a favor and defeating Glasgow. then defeating Connacht in at Ellis Park the next week. But then you go on a double tour. So I would hope that you get 15 points from these fixtures, and then just do what you can in the next two, and yeah, make help ensure that all four South African teams make the playoffs. Unlikely Sharks, but yeah. Demikosi?
Yeah, I have to say that we have to maximize the next 3 home games, and they're winnable. The fact that Glasgow will be coming back from the Champions Cup, there's probably going to be like history or drama attached to that, and for us, especially when we're at home, it just seems like it's perfect. So most likely we can get those 15 points. The last 2 games, though, most likely we can get, I want to say 4 points, meaning that we might be able to upset one. And if I had to pick a specific team to upset between Munster and Leinster, I have a feeling that we might win the Munster game. I don't know. They don't. I don't like Munster's record for the last 3 games. It should be. Is it what like? Is it like draw? I should. It's not like win 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 win,
Mm.
which you would expect,
Mhm.
especially going into the season. Something they started off great, but kind of like what happened to the Lions, they're kind of like dropping. They're not really. They're high up in the group. I mean, they're high up in the log, so they're not really dropping down, but they're not really making any progress that I can see. So we might, but they're hope, but we might be able to maybe cause an upset there. And I think everyone has been waiting for the Lions to be in some sort of playoff. Like we all, I know all of you are not Lion supporters, but you've been waiting. So
Mm.
you are
That
welcome.
that Lions Munster game, I'm looking at Munster's fixtures, yeah. That could be the game to decide who gets 8th place or 7th place, because I think both of them will be on similar points actually. So it's going to be a very emotional game there. I can see it playing out like that.
Plus, they have like a
Yeah.
tougher fixture than us going into that game.
Yeah, they do have tough fixtures, and they're still in the Challenge Cup. They dropped from the Champions Cup to the Challenge Cup. They're taking on Exeter Chiefs away from home, so we'll see if they actually progress from there. If that will help or hurt them, because I mean, if they have another fixture, it's another fixture on their fixture list, and take on Benetton. But then again, Benetton's also in the Challenge Cup, and Benetton look like they're full on trying to win the Challenge Cup. So we'll see how that pans out. And yeah, for me, it's like when we did the on the URC Rewind, when we did the prediction episode, the Currie Cup was still going and the Lions were looking really good. I was encouraged by their depth, and yeah, some of our Northern Hemisphere. No, you Griffin specifically said, and you go back and watch that thing. When I said Lions will make the playoffs this season in the URC, you said why? Because they beat Boland. Because that's how a Welsh person who lives in England says Boland. So shots
Hey,
fired.
but
Um,
but we have a better record than the Bulls. I mean, like
yeah,
just
exactly.
looking at that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was encouraged that the Lions would make the playoffs. Speaking of the Bulls, Ngozi, 3 points behind the Lions, 13 games played, also seven wins, six losses instead of because the Lions got one draw, seven bonus points in total. You 5 more games to play. Jean, your thoughts on how the season's going to pan out going forward?
Do I want to? Do I have to? Can we not just wait? Um, I think um, I think Saturday is gonna be. I don't want to say the decider, um, but We're definitely gonna have to show up on 2 consecutive Saturdays. Um, and I guess it's where do your priorities lie? Do you chase the URC right now and commit to that, or do you take a gamble and go for Glasgow all in? So it's difficult. I think Munster, their tour squad is maybe not um all it's picked all it's amped up to be. Um maybe the Sharks was a wake-up call, maybe not. They definitely, I think a lot of those, I think a lot of them, especially the guys who were in and around the Irish squad, even if they didn't play. I know Aled Waters is the conditioning coach. He's not the type to take prisoners. If you are even remotely connected to the squad, you're suffering. So I think they definitely feeling the fatigue, and the fact that they're missing some of their more imaginative players uh, could count in
That's
our favor.
that's the weird thing though, because the only three players that they're missing are Crowley, Casey, and Burns. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, but
So
we all know Crowley is the chosen one who's
yeah,
going
yeah.
to break Ireland's quarterfinal curse at Rugby World Cups just for them to die in a semi-final.
Mm.
That's how it works. Sorry, but that's just how it works. You beat the big boss at the quarterfinals and you die in the semis.
Mm,
Um, it's like my personal theory that whoever kicks out the Springboks out of the next World Cup, if someone manages to kick us out, they won't win. That will be their final,
mm,
and they will just make it easy for someone else.
mm,
But anyway, so yeah, I think for the Bulls right now, it's the question is going to be consistency over the next 2 weeks. Can we be consistent against Munster? Can we slow down? Not even half a step, quarter of a step. Ball in hand is going to be key. Munster's going to be awake. They're going to punish you. They're going to send you back to your 22 every time off the back of a scrum. They, no offense to the Sharks, but the Bulls can scrum. Munster's not going to play around come scrum time and try and keep the ball in or go for a penalty of some sort. It's going to be ball in, ball out, kick. That's going to be their strategy. They're not going to faff about. And then obviously against Glasgow you have to go all in, especially on the forwards. So I would expect to see Jandre Rudolph, who's had a fantastic season and definitely deserves all the praise, coming out of near retirement to top the URC stats for turnovers. Um, get Jandre Rudolph to start, have Cameron Hanekom come off the bench, Ulrich Low, stack that bench 6-2, because with Glasgow, you need to fight fire with fire up front. And Glasgow can scrum, they can maul, they can do rucks, they can do turnovers. So I think for the next 2 weeks, your forwards need to work hard. And you need to play clean and you need to play you need to play fast, but not too fast. And then obviously, I think if Andre Pollard wants to practice some drop goals, no one would begrudge, drop goals from just inside the 22. 3 points for free is always nice. Um, Dragon Scarlets, Zebra, Benetton, that's a nice cruise
mm,
uh, into the end of the season. Um, but I wouldn't lie down against any of those teams and expect an easy match,
mm.
especially Benetton. Benetton being, I think, the stronger of the two Italian teams. And by then, their Six Nations players will be back. So, you might still need to work a little bit to get there. But I can see the Bulls finishing eighth or seventh. And then it will become then it's really going to be about, well, you've got the spot that you wanted. How well can you play now that you've earned it?
Timmy Kosi, go ahead.
I wanted to ask John, between the next two matches, which one is more important in your eyes, like as a Bulls fan?
It's so difficult. Look, if you had to put me head on a block, I would say win the Munster game, uh, send a decent squad for Glasgow. But if we lose to Glasgow in the Champions Cup, I'm not crying about it. Understand? It's not going to ruin my day. The Champions Cup is a stretch for us right now. It's a massive stretch, and the further you get in chasing the Champions Cup, the more stretched you become because you're now fighting on two fronts. And the Champions Cup is big name teams. So you have to get past Glasgow only to face someone like Bordeaux or Toulouse or Toulon, or Northampton Saints who killed the Stormers. So I would say for this year, rather focus on the URC and beat Munster, focus on beating Dragons, Scarlets. I mean, if you take that, let's say you have a perfect run, wins with bonus point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 25 points that you can put on the log. That's a decent climb. Not everyone might get that. If you like we just saw, the other teams in SA, they've got much harder finishing stretches. Um, we played the tough teams in the beginning of the season and we definitely felt it. But this is now the opportunity to swing it around and say, this is where you need to maximize points difference, maximize points, bonus points. So my focus would be 100% shift to the URC. That is within reach. It's within reach. If you're going after the Champions Cup, you got to go for it, but it might end up costing you.
Yeah, so basically he's saying like if you think soberly, not like at the start of the season where we were like really thumb sucking, but if you think soberly, who's in form, who's injured, who's available, and what fixtures ahead of you, you only have so many resources. So if you try and spread yourself across both tournaments, competitions, you might just fall apart in both. But if you sort of just focus the resources you do have, because there are injuries and there are people out of form, you'd have like I think the Bulls actually in a shout of maybe even getting a home quarterfinal. We'll have to see, like breaking into the top four.
The biggest thing
But
for the
what-
Bulls would be, as a game changer would
Mhm.
be and I know because it's been running around Pretoria a bit that they're looking for a second fly half. Someone
Yeah, yeah.
to wear the 10 jersey.
Yeah.
So rumor is they are chasing after Kerwin Bosch
Mhm.
as a 10, although I
Yeah.
favor him more as a 15. He's
Yeah.
got a monster of a boot on him. And then apparently no, not Chris Smith, there's a Tian Smith from Dragons. He apparently wants to come home to Pretoria, according to the rumor mill. Even willing to pay his own transfer fee to come back.
Yeah, so that's Tian de Beer.
But don't you-
Sorry, Tian de Beer,
Yeah, he was a part of the Bulls setup, and then obviously he went to the Pumas, and then he went to Cardiff, and now he's at Dragons. He's a reasonably good player. Cohen Bosch, decent players playing in France right now. Also earlier, he said Northampton put the score onto the Stormers. Northampton put the score onto the Bulls in the Champions Cup. The Harlequins put quite a big score onto the Stormers. But all these English teams, they all mold together. Guys, we're running out of time. We actually have to move on to the Sharks of the lowest rung South African team, all the way down there at 11th. If I just close this here, how the hell does this work? Here we go. Yeah, Sharks 11th. 13 games played, 5 games won, 7 games lost. 1 draw, 7 bonus points, so that's decent. So how far are the Sharks from the much heralded 8th place? They're at 7th and that's 8th, but they are 6 points behind with only 5 games left. If we look at the Sharks schedule, if I can bring that up, Bulls. Oh, the magic of the internet. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm scrolling through different tabs. So the Sharks favorites to beat Cardiff, right? Then we fly all the way to windy, uncomfortable Galway. Ireland's a beautiful country, just not Galway. And then if we somehow beat Connacht in Galway, unlikely, then we'll play another game in Europe, fly back, and oh no, we're staying in Europe, and we might well play 4 games in a row in Europe if we defeat Connacht somehow, play another game in Europe, then hopefully defeat Ospreys, then play Edinburgh, who yes we've been criticizing and on this podcast and last night's podcast, but they are a different prospect in Scotland, and then the Sharks have a little bit of more easier route here at the bottom. So like the Lions, they seem to be 15 points on offer that they better get. Although I take your point, John. Benetton are a good team, and this late in the stage, they do have the Italian players back, Zebre, I think. But I think we can defeat Benetton. And besides, Benetton are super focusing on the Challenge Cup right now. So I would think because of the resources we do have, and we do have good players. Oh, by the way, our friend Hey Not the Face, Eben Etzebeth, Thumb in the Eye, will be back for this game. He's playing off the bench, I'm told. He'll be back for that game. Then we do have depth, so send more of a mixed team to Connacht and see what happens. And if that team somehow beats Connacht, unlikely, have them play again. And then fly over the quote unquote first team players for the Ospreys game, because there's an opportunity to win this game. Can we defeat Edinburgh in Scotland? Hopefully. Quite a small stadium. Come back to South Africa. There's somewhat of a gap in between here for another Challenge and or Champions Cup fixture. So if we're involved there, we might have a game, but that seems unlikely. Benetton game, likely a break here. So Benetton game. Benetton are the tougher of the two Italian teams, so really focus on this. And then if you don't put 50 points on Zebre, I don't know what you're doing. So that's the Sharks looking forward. Demikosi, your thoughts on the Sharks? Or
I wanted
as
to
we
actually
call,
ask you a question.
yeah, as we call them, the former Lions.
I actually wanted to ask you a question. Like, do you feel like the Sharks should spend more money on the Challengers Cup
Mhm.
or try to win the rest of the URC games? I mean, it all comes down to that Connacht
Yeah.
game. If they can win that one, they can practically try to win it again.
It's difficult in similar position to Jean because of the resources. I'd probably look, both things are 50-50 right now, so I probably just want to go for best possible result in the Champions Cup. Sorry, in the URC, and then look, we have depth. It's just the unlike Leinster, unlike Stormers, unlike Glasgow, very much Glasgow this season. Glasgow play a very rotated team, and every time they played their rotated quote unquote second team, they've gotten 2 results out of 3. So one time they played the second team and they got completely destroyed. In fact, I think they got donutted. A lot of donuts, a lot of nulls this season. We're going to use ChatGPT to figure out how to. We're gonna destroy another tree in the rainforest to ask ChatGPT of how many teams got donutted this season. So yeah, Sharks are going to have to play clever. We'll see. We'll probably have to assess after this Cardiff game who's fit, who's available. What resources do we have? Apelele Fassi still out. Gillemere played well, but that's the other thing we need to talk about. Gillemere played well, but this is South Africa, right? And we're famous for hyping up young players beyond their ability, expecting the world from them, and then because we're idiots and we don't understand that progress is not linear. As soon as somebody has a bad game, has sort of indifferent form, doesn't play as well as maybe they did on their debut or their first season, the second season syndrome, that type of thing. All of a sudden, like people, I'm at Cape Town Stadium and people are saying like, "Oh, turns out this guy was actually shit the whole time." He wasn't shit. Players get scouted as well. Munster will look at a team sheet and say, "Oh, Luan Gillemere, who the hell is that?" And then they'll look up like YouTube videos and stuff like that, but they won't have a proper scouting book on him, that type of thing. But as soon as you become like really good, guys like Apelele Fassi had dips in his career where he was sort of in the fringes of the Springbok team, played wing twice for the Springboks, and then got sent back by the Springboks to the Sharks with a whole list of things they wanted him to work on. And people were telling me, "Oh, that proves that Apelele Fassi is a bad player." No, I was saying this years ago. It doesn't prove he's a bad player. It proves that the Springboks set up under Rassie Erasmus. Once Rassie Erasmus says this so often in press conferences, I want to see this kid in training and I want to see him play live for me. Then I can give him proper feedback. Then he can go back to his union under less pressure with like a whole book of things we need him to work on. And then we still email him, we still call him, we still have the coaching staff say, we still interact with his union's coaching staff and saying these are the things we would like him to work on so that he can be a more well-rounded player in the test arena so he can thrive. So if we play Gillemere the season and he plays well and subs in, even he can even play a fly off, we need to temper our expectations of someone 19-year-old in only in a few months' time is he going to turn 20. So let's sort of keep level-headed and also try and develop these players holistically, because we see this in rugby, but a lot also in football, where a lot of players sort of lose their way because they've become famous and wealthy overnight. And we've all been young people. I wasn't the most mature person at 19, so I shudder to think what I would do with all this fame and fortune and attention and all that stuff. So yeah, guys, we're going to quickly go to our overall thoughts on the Six Nations, because we like to scout, know thine enemy. Jean, your brief one or two thoughts on this past most exciting Six Nations I've seen in ages.
Besides Italy, everyone's in trouble. That's what I can tell you. Besides Italy, everyone's in trouble. France need to step up their defense unless they plan on winning every time by Le Bib Bib magic. Um, Ireland needs to find more young talent. Their debutant Bobby Balakoon was fantastic, but they need about 6 or 7 more debutants this year to keep them in contention. Scotland need, I don't know what they need, but they need something. This was the closest they could have ever gotten to taking a Six Nations title. Um, and they started late and they finished too early. England, I don't know. I can't tell you. Stats driven game, maybe not so stats driven. They just seem to lose the plot. And Wales, very, very late comeback with what was a steam train of a performance against a very, very hungover Italian side.
Interesting. Shout out to Kyle Steyn, from Johannesburg, Scottish mom, by the way. Had the game of his life against France. Wow. But yeah, Bryce, your thoughts, your brief thoughts on Six
Hmm.
Nations.
Hmm. Um, I like Wales. I think of the last 3 rounds, I've actually been pretty pleased with Wales. They nearly beat Scotland, and then they nearly well, yeah, they nearly beat Ireland as well. So I mean, yeah, that was pleasing to see Wales competitive again, rather than just this punching bag that Italy was, and same for the Italy and Scotland. I don't think they're ever going to win a Six Nations. It's just not going to happen.
The amount of New Zealand-born players, Josh Mackay is about to join, and South African-born players in the Scottish team is oddly suspicious. Also, they've also got Dempsey there, Australian-born. So, is
Hmm.
it really a Scottish team or is it a URC team in disguise? Demi
No,
Kosi?
we called it the Curry Cup All Stars. That's what they call it.
Actually, I was actually hoping that maybe like the performance Scotland put on, especially against the bigger teams, it was like, wow. I was like, okay, maybe this is actually your chance. This is your year. But like every year, it wasn't. But
Hmm.
overall, yeah, I have to echo what John said. Like, France won, but defense is a problem. Like, I don't think I'm just okay now. I'm just putting South Africa against France right now. If they're gonna keep playing like that and their defense is gonna be poor, they're gonna get outscored. I don't think they can. I don't think Libib can carry them against a good team that can attack. But against the Six Nations, it was really good. I think the performance was spectacular. But again, defense. They need to work on defense. Ireland, yeah, what can we say? It looked like it was going south. It looks like we're going a U-turn, but not really. Maybe we haven't decided on maybe like the whole fly half thing. Like John said, like maybe they just need newer players, and I don't think they have the time to kind of bleed in all those new players right now. But they were able to come back. They were able to like rescue their kind of like their Six Nation season. England, I'm just gonna skip over that one. Italy, Italy were fantastic. Like they were putting out performances like nobody's business. I think for me, the team, even though it won two matches, it has to be Italy. Like they are kind of like the most improved team out of all of them. We we normally expect them to at least be at the bottom or at least like second from the bottom. But guys, that's fourth. Like, isn't that enough? Like that has to be some sort of achievement.
Yeah, well done to Italy. Yeah, so our overall thoughts, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think despite finishing fourth and despite that thrashing by Wales, I feel like Italy was the most consistent team of the tournament.
Mm.
Yeah, and also Robert Balakoon had played for Ireland a few years ago, but then he had injuries and he sort of fell out of things. The Ireland thing is weird because it's like the coach doesn't know how to balance the youth and experience, and we see this across sporting codes as well, in football as well. You can't have a bunch of young guys. You can't run out the baby box, even if they're super talented, but you can't have a bunch of old veterans either. So you have to like the Irish. The Irish coach is a good coach. He's maybe a bit loyal. One could say like you're being hypocritical, like he gave Sam Pendergrass a chance, that type of thing. But I've seen criticism, like valid criticism, of saying you push Sam Pendergrass too early, whilst at the same time like you're holding on to certain other people. And then Farrell could say like, "Wow, you guys are contradicting yourself. You're saying I'm holding on to this guy too long." You got to find that niche and that type of thing. And that's well. One could also say that, well, it's easier for Rassie Erasmus to find that balance because of the vast amount of players he gets to choose from. But there's this nuance to that as well. Yeah, but our overall thoughts is like, yeah, Northern Hemisphere teams, cute little tournament you had, but you got your guts in. Um, Now we move on to the Springboks. I'm going to close that tab and we're going to quickly, and I mean quickly, look at the Springbok announced both their in-person both the in-person uh, alignment camp and their virtual alignment camp. So we'll look at just the in-person alignment camp right now. Anything stand out to you, Jean?
The biggest thing that stands out to me,
Oh,
besides the
this is
famed
this is
return of Crazy Spice, Frans Malherbe, is look at the date. This was 2 weeks ago.
mm,
It was end of Feb.
mm,
Our first game is in July.
mhm,
Mm.
If you want to know why it's or what it takes to be number one in world rugby, that's what it takes. You're holding alignment camps in February. Your first game is 5 months away. Understand? And that's it. I think that's one of the core differences is the Springbok the Springbok management team set up their plan for the year and they say, right, this is how we want the year to go. Then we have our alignment camps. And during the alignment camps, we shift, the players shift, we come together, we agree this is the plan, this is how we go forward. But I'm like, what can you say except just you bask in the glory of the talent that South Africa produces. I mean, so many so many names there that rightfully deserve to be there and get mentioned. I'm happy for a couple of people to see that they're getting included again. Ivan Rus perhaps getting a shot this year at 8, although the competition for that jersey with Cameron Hanekom being back is also very tight. A lot of young names. I don't expect to see them this year. Maybe against the Barbars as an unofficial cap. Um, but honestly, I think one of the players I'm most excited for would be Jean-Luc Dupria. Just being able to see him again. I know he's been in and around the squad for a long time, haunted many times by injuries. And very interesting is Carlo Saidi, who
mm,
had the very same injury that Steven Kutsov had, and apparently underwent a surgery that was described as 50-50 between being successful or ending in disability, and then had to spend 6 months with a crazy physiotherapist. There's a good article on Rugby Pass. I definitely recommend you read it. Massive player, And I think his journey is well worth noting. The fact that he had an injury that severe and has managed to make a comeback.
Yeah, I do have to apologize. I had an old alignment camp image in the first slide. That I think that's old. Is it? It must be. Yeah. But this is the full camp. This includes the virtual alignment camp participants. Yeah, the virtual alignment camp participants like Bowen Venters there, even though he's going to join the Lions pretty soon next season. JJ van der Mech's in the mix. And then if we look at just the full thing, Marcus Muller, a very young player, has only trained with the Stormers in Western Province, hasn't played for Western Province even in the Currie Cup. So he's going to be a baby Bok this season. And like we've discussed on our numerous WhatsApp groups, this is more of an idea to get guys into the system, not necessarily to play their CERN, but to understand the routine, the processes, and the coaching staff to like see the players up in person, and then also to have sort of one-on-one conversations with these like highly sought after promising young players. I think Kai, if I remember correctly, from the Sharks.
Mm.
Yeah, there we go. Kai Pratt, exciting, very mobile, very powerful, lucid prop. He's in the mix as well. Khlakani, anything else that stands out to me particularly? Yeah, but it's pretty much all the players I thought I'd see. Congrats on Urshel Jantjies getting back in the team, playing a more structured game in France. Lucanio Arms playing reasonably well in Japan, so shout out to him. And then Bulls, soon to be Sharks, hooker, Baby Bok winning hooker. He's in the mix there as well. Temikosi, could you assist us in pronouncing this name correctly, please?
Ndebelele.
Ah, yeah, there we go.
Oh.
So as soon as the players knew, I mean, we're all struggling with Chilimia this week. Uh, we'll stay with you, Temikosi. Anything stand out? This is the full squad, virtual and in person. Anything stand out for you?
The person that stands out the most has to be Marcus Miller. I was hoping that maybe Ethan Adams also was there along with Marcus Miller because they seemed like they were a dangerous combination in the what is this, in high school. So shout out to Marcus Miller. Like I can't wait to see him in the under 20s. I want to see what he will do.
Yeah, I think I saw the other Ethan as well, but I think that was in the old squad. Hey, Emmanuel Chituka. Well done. Born in Democratic Republic of Congo, joining his older brother Vincent in the mix. And Manus van der Merwe, we tried to get him to the Sharks, but then he went to Munster. Why would he do that? Yeah. Bryce, why would somebody, instead of moving to Durban, move to Munster? Your thoughts?
How would somebody move from Durban to Munster? Because they want to start winning, bro. Now,
Oh.
the what I'm very fascinated to see how Paul de Villiers works throughout this alignment camps, because I would like him to actually get a shot, even if it's against the Barbarians. I mean, I think I don't see Siya Kolisi playing past 2027, and I think Paul de Villiers, he's captain material, but I don't think he will captain the Springboks. But he's a good captain-like figure to have there. I'm very surprised Herschel Yankees there, whereas Embrose Papier is not there. I'm not sure what the criteria is there, but that did surprise me. Same with Faf de Klerk, who's seemingly like a reserve scrum off these days. But otherwise, it's pretty much as expected. I know he actually likes to bring the kids in early, so. But I wouldn't read too much into that yet. I mean, it's good to see Riley Doughton there as well. Yeah, otherwise it's no big surprises for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah, so many names to look onto. Riley Norton is still captaining the Baby Box right now this season as well, trying to do the double with the Baby Box. I believe so. Or maybe he's out the team now. I don't know. I think he might have aged out the team. I could be mistaken. All right, so that is the alignment camp. But now we get to the exciting part. Now we get to the Springboks schedule, gentlemen,
Mm.
it's a 14-game season, and it kicks off in June. We're now January, February. We're in March, and we're already preparing for it. So they've recently added the Barbarians game to the schedule, right? Then more than a week later, 2 weeks later after that, so there is going to be a bit of a break. A lot of the players here might not be available if they're still in the Champions Cup and or the URC playoffs, but we'll see which players are available. This could be an opportunity for um, some sort of more fringe players to get a bit of a run out. We saw that with the Barbarians game last season, and then the Nations Championship kicks off a very exciting tournament. We take on England, so now it's not just test rugby. Now we're actually playing for something, and you're going to try and go for like a 5 try bonus point. And yeah, we're going to take on a likely resurgent England. They probably dust themselves off by then on the 4th of July, explosive game. Then we take on that will be in Ellis Park, Johannesburg, Tim Nkosi's home stadium. Then we move to Jean's own stadium. So both these games are in the Gauteng province. We take on Scotland, aka the Currie Cup All Stars, as Bryce said earlier. Then we take on Wales. So maybe we rotate this game in Durban. Oh, the people of Durban get to see a big score, a cricket score. Then bit of a gap again, and players get a chance to rest and recover a little. And then this game is not a part of the Nations Cup, but the Nations Championship. But South Africa decided to just add in a extra game against Argentina on the 8th of August. Bit of a gap again. Then the big one starts, gentlemen. The greatest rivalry tour kicks off 22nd of August, Ellis Park, Johannesburg. Moving on to the 29th of August, there will be games in between as well in different venues. Uh, Ellis Park. So expect so it's Ellis Park, then it's Cape Town, then it's on the 5th of September, it's FNB Stadium, Johannesburg. That's going to be exciting. So another game in the Gauteng province. Then, unfortunately, it's in Baltimore. Yeah, we've given our thoughts on that. Yeah, not too happy about that. And then is there going to be a gap? Yeah, bit of a gap, and then just an extra fixture we just threw in there because Argentina and Australia are a little upset that we postponed or subverted the rugby championship of the season. We're going to be nice, and we're going to do a quick game in Perth, Toria. I mean, the World Cup is in Australia, so we've got to throw them a bone. Bit of a gap again, gentlemen, and then in Italy, hopefully in Rome, maybe at the Juventus Stadium. France at the Stade de France. Oh, that's going to be a good one. And then Ireland at the Aviva. So these last 2 games, even the Italy game, Italy gave us a game last season. So then the final Nations Championship. So hopefully, the way the tournament works is it's basically similar to the under 20 championship in terms of like even if you don't make the final, I believe you just play like a third and fourth place playoff, that type of thing. I could be mistaken, but hopefully the South Africa actually make this final. So 13 games the season, possibly a 14th game this season. Temi Kosi, are you as excited as the rest of us?
I actually am. I think the first 3 games we should actually the first 4 games, the first 5 games should not be a problem. Like they should not be a problem. I think the challenge comes into the New Zealand game, and mostly because we don't know how it's going to be. We have to wait for the Nations Championships to see how New Zealand plays with the new coach, and then maybe we can kind of expect, because you can never just roll out New Zealand at anything. But it will be interesting to see, especially the November series or the November edition of the Nations Cup, because there are rumors going around that we might send a B team. And if we do send a B team, it would be interesting to see how they pay up against an Italian side, a French side, and an Ireland side. But I'm expecting at least an 80% from this year, from just this list alone.
Yeah, I mean, what is a Springbok B team anyway? Our coaches have rotated so aggressively, um, depending on conditions, opponent, availability, and tactics. Jean, your thoughts ahead of this exciting season?
Plenty of opportunity. Plenty of opportunity to make big statements, plenty of opportunity to make missteps. Springboks versus England, we know that there's beef. We don't need Andre Pollard to say it. We know there's beef between us and England. Twice now we've kicked them out of a World Cup. Um, Once deservedly, once by the skin of our teeth. So those guys going to be coming down here. I heard a rumor that Dwayne Vermeulen's going to make a 10-minute return just to give a special welcome to Mr. Pollock. Um, so yeah, I think Springboks versus England's going to be, if we're going to see a fast-paced game, that's going to be the fast-paced game. If we're going to see if the box can play with pace, that's going to be the one to play with pace because England's going to come out of the gate storming. It's going to look like the game against France. They're not going to relent. It's going to be incredibly tight. Um, I would say that Argentina versus Springboks fixture, that to me is possibly the first hurdle of the season. By then, you're 3 games in, you've got injuries to account for. You're making the trip from Durban to Argentina only to come back again. So yeah, Argentina, they've had our number before, so I wouldn't count them out completely. As Timmy and Corsi rightfully said, we got to figure out how the New Zealand team is going to play under a new coach. This being the greatest rivalry tour, their new coach um, definitely knows what it feels like to beat the box and what it takes. Just a reminder for everyone, Dave Rennie was unceremoniously and very much unjustifiably kicked out of the Aussie head coach position prior to the 2023 Rugby World Cup after building a monster of a team. They kept they kept us pretty much winless against Australia under Dave Rennie. So for me, not concerned but cautious. He's definitely a clever operator. Um, but I am very, very excited to see um, where it takes us. Um, yeah, Springboks versus Wales. I'm just hoping we get a chance to get the ball because if Wales play like they did against Italy, long day at the office. But I think an exciting year and as hard a year as you can hope for prior to a World Cup year. I know the World Cup next year will be very, very late in the year. But this is possibly as hard a year as you can hope for. And just sort of a bit of reverse logic, seeing that we're playing France and Ireland again at the end of this year, sending a B team is not necessarily a bad thing because you get to deny France and Ireland, two possible knockout opponents, the possibility to get good experience against you. With next year probably having a slightly reduced test schedule, um, I can sort of understand see the logic that Rassie is going with there to say, listen, we don't. Everyone knows the big cards we play, but we've got some small cards that we like to keep hidden. So yeah, but I also at the same time I think France and Ireland have got more than enough to keep them busy, and more than enough things to worry about. So maybe Rassie reckons sending a B team, could get the job done. And I know Rassie won't call it a B team. He's going to call it a split squad because he doesn't view it as an A team and a B team. If you're in the Springbok squad, you're in the Springbok squad. For him, it's about load management and player management, and I do respect that because I also don't like the idea of saying there's a A tier Springbok team and a B tier Springbok team. If you're in the squad, you're in the squad, and you've earned it. So I think a rotated or a split squad system definitely on the cards.
Bryce, there's only one Springbok versus New Zealand game or any only one Springbok game in Cape Town this season. There is a New Zealand All Blacks versus Stormers game at Cape Town Stadium as well. Tickets for Springboks versus New Zealand at Cape Town Stadium costs quite a bit of money, but I do understand you do own a balaclava and you know where the cash and transit van stops every Thursday. So will you be attending this fixture?
Maybe not the Springboks All Blacks. I'll see about the Stormers All Blacks, but I think that it's outside of my scope, that Springboks All Blacks. But in terms of the season, I'm really excited to see now what the third year of Tony Brown Springboks looks like. Because I think we've seen a gradual evolution of this team, and it's been beautiful to watch. I mean, yeah. In terms of the last tour, like I kind of agree with Jean. I think we should send a different team, because we've already proven last season that we can beat these teams with our first choice team. And I don't think France and Ireland are that different to last season. I mean, maybe Ireland uses Jack Crowley this time, but I don't think they're that different. So I would like to see a different set of players there. I know we're playing for a championship, but if there's any time to figure out if someone's got the goods, this is the year. But yeah, I'm extremely excited. Hopefully, I get to enjoy a good Yuri Matia masterclass against the All Blacks. But yeah.
Yeah, that might well happen. Well, this we'll go into more depth with this greatest rivalry tour as it draws closer, because there's a lot of games against the Bulls, the Lions, and the Sharks as well. So yeah, it's drawing a lot of attention as well. So, but yeah, overall the Springbok season last season was 13 fixtures. This season it's 13 fixtures with a possibility of a 14th fixture. So it's about the same workload across the season. And yeah, we'll see what happens, especially with Rassie. I expect some interesting and unforeseen ideas and stuff. Guys, we'll round the episode off just briefly with just talking quickly about the Women's Super League One, which has already had 6 games. Each team plays each other team once. So if it's a 8-team tournament, this is the Super League One. There is a Super League Two. That means that there's only one fixture left. Unsurprisingly, Jean's Bulls Daisies are absolutely dominating. But massively surprisingly is John's Bulls Daisies owner's second team, the Sanlam Boland Damas, are actually second ahead of the much vaunted Western Province team, which I saw play live and played really well. Excellent backline moves from them, especially comparative to the opponents they were playing in that day at City Park, which were the Sharks. And then the EP Queens, legitimately the best rugby team in Eastern Province, ahead of Border Bulldogs, ahead of EP Elephants, the men's team. Well done to them. 6 game plates, 3 games won, 3 games lost. A team on a shoestring budget with a lot of talent. Because it's women's Lions team, blowing hot and cold, but some talented players there. Not that many Moiboka, not that many female women's Springboks. The Sharks team, I had an opportunity to watch them live. They've got a lot of work to do in terms of their full squad. They do have some large forwards, especially front row forwards, and props that came off the bench in the game that I did watch. Two wins and 4 losses. But yeah, still, especially in their backline, still a lot of work to do and a lot of progress that needs to be done. Free State Women, I'm not that well versed on them. Shout out to Lisa B, our former Stormers and Borland and women's rugby correspondent. She can give us a bit more insight. And unfortunately, the border ladies, like the men's team, just not quite getting things right there down in East London. So yeah, good luck to them. And we'll just look quickly we won't look at the results. We'll look quickly at the final round of fixtures. So Sharks women are hosting Boland Damas. Boland Damas, very good team. So I would slightly pick the Boland Damas there. Bulls Daisies will obviously destroy their local neighbors from down in Johannesburg. EP Queens versus Western Province. This could be an interesting fixture. Western Province slight favorites, and then Free State Cheetahs versus Border Ladies, the bottom of the log fixture. I would favor the Free State team slightly as it respects to that. So I would encourage everybody to go watch these fixtures. There's no Western Province fixture, and I had hoped that if the Western Province made it to the playoffs, they would have a home playoff fixture, but unfortunately that does not seem like it might transpire. Yeah. We now also move on to the SA Cup, the men's SA Cup tournament. It's the 10 rugby unions in South Africa not participating in URC, so they are not URC franchises. Griquas dominating with a near URC / Super Rugby team, which they didn't buy, they built. They built it out of scratch. Well done to them. Boland Cavaliers, lots of investment, and it's paying off, and they're using it quite clever. Airlink, Mpumalanga Pumas used to be like the most dominant team in this tournament, but fallen somewhat behind with the progression of Griquas and Boland Cavaliers, and then the rest of the teams, Cheetahs, unfortunately blowing hot and cold. Recently, the fixture between the Cheetahs and the Pumas had to be called off this Friday night because of a thunderstorm. So the game then gets, at the 34th minute, they called off the game. So the game then gets called as a 0-0 draw, which you only really see in Burnley versus Stoke. Falke, not that great. Eastern Province, not that great. Leopards down Potchefstroom, struggling. And the less said about East London's Border Bulldogs, the better. So, Southwestern District Eagles being invested into quite a bit by a consortium coached by former Springbok coach Heineke Meyer. I think he was the coach when we lost to Japan, right? Yeah. Taking the Cheetahs place in the fourth. So if the Southwestern District Eagles with 12 points thus far, 2 wins, 1 loss. If they somehow make it into the playoffs ahead of the Cheetahs, that means the Cheetahs won't be in the Currie Cup Premier division later this season, which is going to be a massive problem. Quickly, Jean, your thoughts on the secondary tournament in the South African landscape?
All for Griquas Boland final, calling it now.
Thembinkosi, anything stand out to you?
I think the Eagles are doing way better than expected, but I have to agree with John. It has to be between a Griq. Nah, I'm going with the Pumas. A Griquas Pumas final.
Yeah. Bryce, your thoughts on the secondary tournament?
I hope the Cheetahs don't fall apart. I mean, we've been hearing the stories about retrenchments and all that. I would like them to make Currie Cup or don't fall apart before the season ends. But yeah, I'm very pleased with the Eagles as well. I think I called it earlier that they might do well this season.
Yeah, they got Tian Fourie from the scrum half from the Sharks. We've yet to confirm if it's a full sale or a loan. So they brought Fred Salinger out of retirement. They I think the one guy was supposed to sign with Boland, but instead he signed with them because living in Wellington or living in George is both very nice places. So yeah, the investment's like working out. And I've been championing the idea of Griquas, Boland, Pumas, and the Cheetahs getting into Super Rugby. But if the Cheetahs don't pull up their socks, it's going to be Southwestern District Eagles because putting a Super Rugby team in George isn't that bad. So then we'll have one in sort of the Midlands in Griqualand, the Griquas, one in Wellington in terms of Boland, and one in sort of more obscure Mpumalanga. But if there's a Super Rugby team in Canberra, why can't we have a team in Mpumalanga? It's basically the same thing. Gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I appreciate everybody's attention as it relates to this. We are back now, and it's going to be a pretty hectic. It's going to be a pretty hectic rest of the season. No more Six Nations breaks, so yeah, strap in, everybody. From myself, Jean, Thembinkosi, and Bryce, as we say every week, in Rasi, we trust.